back for Arfield. 1-0 Burnley. Scott Arfield. He's been threatening that recently. And all the Burnley players run to the Darwin end.
Burnley win the next ball. Here's Rory now. On the outside. Decent.
Barnes! He got it! Ashley Barnes with it! What a cross from Rory! And there was Ashley Barnes! And Burnley leading the derby.
Obviously quickly finds Benson in space at the byline. Can Burnley get a goal here? Back for Brownell. Saved by the keeper.
Burnley won it to the end. That is magnificent. They deserve that.
On it by Paul Pantella. Off for a hat-trick.
He's got it. Hat-trick for Nathan Teller. Oh, he's on fire at the minute. 3-0 Burnley. It's Nathan Teller's day.
And Burnley are 3 up here. Fantastic derby. Here's Benson. Can he go on the outside? Comes inside. Comes up a shot.
Oh, the goal. Manuel Benson once more. That is top class. Burnley have done it. Fantastic. Clarets deserve the championship title. They've been the best side throughout the campaign. Burnley have won the second tier. What a fantastic achievement. The players have been magnificent.
Yes, hello everyone and welcome along to the latest instalment of the TurfCast podcast. Full-time show with me, Joe Redmond, after Burnley's get out of jail, I think is the best way to describe it. A win at home to Swansea City, but like I said, it's probably get out of jail. I'm not one of these to shout and scream about negativity and whinging and saying Parker out, as we just get a comment from Andrew, whose last name like we're going to try and pronounce it, literally just says Parker out. But that was hard work. Thankfully, we got a penalty. Do I think we'd have got the win if it wasn't for the penalty? Obviously not. We showed absolutely nothing up top. But what I will say is the last two games compared to before that have been better, and we have been a little bit better in terms of movement, but the same issues are still there, and the same issues are obviously up front. For me, it's not necessarily about Parker, it's about making better decisions. Coley O'Shaw, I'm sorry, I'm not one for singling players out, and I love Coley O'Shaw. I think I've said on here before that he is my favourite player. I think I might need to revisit that actually though now, because he was absolutely god-awful again today, and I'm not particularly sure why he is being so bad, but he is. And for me, I'm not particularly sure what to do with Coley O'Shaw. He needs to have some time out of the team. But yeah, anyway, I've just started ranting straight away just because I see all the negativity in that. And I agree it's bad. It's not great to watch, and I'm not particularly enjoying it at the minute. But a win's a win. And I remember tweeting, I literally just put out, Jay Rodriguez wins it in like the 90th minute or 94th minute or something. And the first post back to that, before it was even full time, was, yeah, but it's a disgrace, or we've got out of jail and stuff. Just celebrate a goal at least, mate. Come on, just celebrate a win. But yeah, unfortunately, for some reason, guys, I know a lot of you do like to watch on what's it called, Facebook. I can see the comments on another window here, but for some reason on my StreamYard it just says Facebook user. So I will try and where I can say people's names if I can see it on the other screen, but when it comes up on the actual feed, it will just say Facebook user. Not particularly sure why. But this Facebook user says, I'm laughing at the people that left earlier. And then another Facebook user says, I fell asleep watching that game, literally. Burnley were so lucky to win that game. I agree we were, but let's just enjoy the win at least. Can we just enjoy the win? But yeah, if it weren't for that penalty, then yeah, we're not winning that, are we? John Payne was so eager to tweet this, to put this on the feed. He did it half an hour before the show even started. But he says, don't lie, if we hadn't got a penalty, it would be Parker out. It still wouldn't be Parker out for me personally, but is what it is. I know a lot of people have that opinion now, and I'm not one of these that says that opinion's wrong, but don't tell me that mine is wrong either. Sui says, that was really stinky. The pen was justice for the West Brom game, but it's so painful to watch at times. I've still not seen it back, but Arm's in an unnatural position. I mean, we should have had a goal against West Brom. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to do a full-time show after the West Brom thing, incident, should I say. But we should have had a goal there, and I do think it's a penalty. I tweeted saying that I appealed out of hope rather than expectation. More in the case if I didn't think the ref had the bottle to give it more than anything else. But yeah, his arm's in an unnatural position and it is a penalty. Stephanie Nutter just says P. Fair enough. Claret Al says, evening, Clarets. Evening, mate. How you doing? Evening, Clarets says, Claret Blue 1882. Says, didn't we get lucky tonight? Yeah, can't really argue with the luck, to be honest, mate. Are we running a book on how many times Joe mentions his bad back? I have got a bad back. And if you knew why, mate, you'd understand that I'm lucky just to have a bad back, but I won't go into it on here. I'll start with 4. I think I've already mentioned it 4 times in that one sentence, Claret, to be fair, so you're probably right. Fans got on Foster's back at the beginning, but clearly he isn't the problem. Yeah, don't disagree with that, Ryan. I always said that he wasn't really the problem, to be fair. Yeah, he says, Ryan, Foster never showed or made a run for the ball. He wasn't great, to be fair, but anyway, we are what's the word, digressing. Simon Morrow says, evening, lads. Nice to see a different view of Joel's spare room. Yeah, it's normally you just see it from there, can't you? And just see that back wall, but this is the actual room, obviously TV behind me and that. But yeah, rubbish content for those listening on the pod. Right, anyway, let's do what we do. Let's get people's thoughts on the games rather than just saying evening to everyone. Evening though, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you if you're watching on the stream. Thank you for listening on the podcast. But I'll come to you first, Connor. As usual, go in screen order. Your thoughts on that game, please, mate.
A tough watch, I'll be honest. I had that game and the Carolina Panthers game on next to it, so I at least had something to watch. There was at least some sort of score happening. But it was a pretty poor game. I feel like we say this every week, but like there's just no creativity in that team, and I think it's like I have seen a lot of the Parker out stuff, and I do just think like, can we not just enjoy the fact that we've scored a 94th minute winner, or we have to sulk every no matter what the score is? Like a couple of years ago, we'd have been bloody buzzing with a 1-0 94th minute penalty. Do you know? Like, it's just ridiculous. Like it wasn't a great game, but at least enjoy the high of 3 points. We've not had it for the past couple of games, so I'm trying to see the positives. I appreciate it was a dreadful game to watch, but I think it's just we don't have anybody that can put the ball in the back of the net other than Jay, obviously today. But it was a tough watch. But I'm definitely not Parker out anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't even really want to have that debate today because we've won. Like, yes, people are going to have it on Twitter. I've already said I'm not Parker out, so that's that ended. You've said you're not. Andrew, we'll have the quick debate. Are you in or out at the minute?
I'm in, mate. I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing with that match, but.
The only reason why I'm in, if I'm honest with you, is because I just think it's too early. That's literally the only reason why I'm in at the minute. Ask me again after Christmas. But I want to have not a positive. We need to obviously discuss things, and we have done. But anyway, Andrew, before we digress and get onto other things that I want to talk about later, what were your thoughts on the actual game, please, mate?
It weren't an enjoyable game. It weren't really entertaining. We struggled creating stuff going forward, but. I'm with you too. I'm like, if you'd have said to me this morning, would I take a 1-0 win with the 94th minute winner from J-Rod, I'd have snapped your hands off on it. So yeah, I don't care how we win games. I don't care how we do it. We got 3 points. We won. It's another clean sheet, and J-Rod scored. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously everyone knows how much you love Jay, and to be fair, it is good to see Jay. I mean. I'll stick with you, Andrew. Like, obviously, you've alluded to it there. It's not great to watch. And yes, that's probably... It's weird. Like, I won't say it's the worst performance, but I kind of felt it was probably one of the most boring games just because I think I'm at the stage now where I know what's going to happen. I know we're going to, as Carl James Ellison said earlier in the stream, he says, we huff and puff, but there's no end product. Exactly that. Like, even now, I feel like West Brom and today... was better than the likes of the Preston match, the Hull match, the who were it now? The Millwall match. They're better, but I still know what I'm going to be watching. I still know that they're going to get to the final third, and as Carl says, there's no end product. So I am getting a bit fed up with it and a bit tedious towards it. But I feel like the performances are getting slightly better, but we just don't have enough up top, do we? So I think it's obvious we don't have enough up top. I think we've discussed that. When Lyle's playing, not enough up top. When Fleming's in the 9 instead of the 10, enough up top. So what would you change? Is there anything that you change? For me, I know I've said it before. I don't want to sound like a bad record. It's to be fair to Chris. Chris says 82, not Chris. A low bar. Yeah, there is that, but it's it's better. I agree. It's still not good enough. That is my point. It's still not good enough, but it is better. I'm not even going to say that comment. I just want to highlight it and then quickly get rid of it because that's funny. But yeah, Andrew, I'll come back to you. What would you change? Because I know I've said it before, but for me, I don't know why he's insistent on playing Fleming in the 9 when we have 2 strikers on the bench. Hontondre might not be great. Jay might not, be the right side of 35. But play a striker in the 9. Like when that ball went across goal in the first half, a striker's gambling and making that run and trying to get onto it. It's with Fleming, he was completely isolated all game. And I'm not going to criticise him because he's playing out for position. But then I'm thinking to myself, let's try Hontondre in the 9 and Fleming in the 10, or Jay in the 9 and Fleming in the 10. And what does he do? He puts Jay on and takes Fleming off. I'm like, come on, man. Let's just see it. Let's try something different. What would you do, Andrew, to try and mix it up? Because somebody said earlier, we've still got 8 weeks left of the transfer window. Thankfully, we're not playing again for 2 weeks. So by the time that comes round, it'll be 6 weeks. Is there anything you do to change it up? Because obviously we can't bring anybody in until them 6 weeks are up.
No, I've backed. Excuse me, I've backed Brownhill all season because he's our top goal scorer. He's not been as bad as I think people have made out, but from today, he was absolutely shocking, and I'd be dropping him. And I know he's not our creative outlet, but I'd be dropping him. I'd be bringing Hannibal in or Laurent because I think either of them two bring us further up the pitch. I'd be putting Fleming in the 10 because that's where his best position is. And we saw that when we're at Hull, where we did drop him back into the 10 and brought Atonji on. And within minutes of doing that, the ball were in the back of the net.
And then what does Parker do?
Yeah.
Takes him off.
Takes him off. Yeah. So I'd 100% have Fleming in the 10 and try Atonji up front. Like, I love Jay. We all know I love Jay. I'm absolutely buzzing he's got on the score sheet today. But from the start, it needs to be Hatonji or Foster when he's fit.
Just a striker. It needs to be
one of those two.
I mean, I understand he's doing it because Foster's injured, but we have 2 strikers. Play a striker.
But you've got the 2 strikers there. And I think Fleming will do it. Fleming's always looking for that additional player to knock it to. And I think that's because he's used to being in that 10 to knock it to someone. And that's why he's getting isolated because he's not got anyone there to knock it to. And I think as soon as he does have that player there, like say Laurent and Hannibal bring us further up the pitch. And then as soon as he's got someone there to knock it to, we'll be there. We'll have that attacking threat. Our midfield isn't the problem. Our defence isn't the problem. It's just no one knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. And I think if we hadn't got the penalty today, we never would have scored.
100%. Would have still been there now. If it weren't for that penalty, we wouldn't have scored. I completely agree with that. And when I was talking about, I can't remember who it was now. I think it was Gingerella. Yeah, there it was. Of course it was Ginger. He says, but for the penalty, we still wouldn't have scored for a month of Sundays, Joe. That's the problem. Completely agree, mate. And I never said anything otherwise. I just feel like it's the same issues every single week, and it is that. Sorry, Phil. I know I've put your comment on screen, and for some reason it just says Facebook user. I did say at the start of the show, but you must have missed it. I don't know why, but the Facebook comments are just covered up as Facebook user. Hopefully for the next stream, I'll have it sorted. Connor, I'll come to you next then, please, mate. What would you do differently? Because there's some people calling out for 4-4-2. There's some people calling out for just something different. For me, I'd try the same system for now, like I said, but just put a 10 in the 10 and a 9 in the 9. What would you do, mate?
I definitely think I'd drop Fleming back. Fleming has to drop back. He's not a striker. He's had a couple of goals at it now. It's not working. I appreciate that I wouldn't say Atonji or Gerard are the particular answer long term, but they're better than what's happening now where we've not got a striker or nobody. Yeah. At least you saw with Atonji that there is something there with him. I will say the past few games that he's made an appearance, I've felt like, especially at the start of the, what game was it? What was the game where he started?
Millwall.
At the start of that Millwall game, he had a couple of chances, and I thought you can see he's got a bit of something. But I think whilst Foster's not there, why not give one of them two a run of games or switch them round and stuff like. we don't seem to be changing much up top, which I find strange. I get that you've got to rotate that midfield because there's so many midfielders at the club at the minute, but it seems strange that he's happy with Fleming at the striker because he's played there now multiple games. He's not really giving anyone else a chance. It makes me think, well, you've got to change something up top. It's either the wingers or it's the striker. And I think Anthony played okay today. I don't think he was as good as the other night, but Coley Oshaw and Brownhill today were stinky. It's the only way I can describe it. It was like hard to watch and I love those two. I'd say those two are like my favourites, but today they were so poor. And I just think, why not? It says something that you're at least trying to change it. If you take out Brownhill or you take out Coley Oshaw, you make a statement like that. Because if you keep playing Coley Oshaw at the minute, it's not that I don't want him to succeed, but it's like you can just, I don't know how to say it. It just seems like he's scared to take him out because who's the alternative to Coley Oshaw? But the way Coley Oshaw's playing at the minute, you just need to take him out the firing line at the minute. He looks lost on the pitch at the minute, and it's tough because you can see that he's got so much potential, but he just doesn't seem all there. He's a bit like what I was saying with Foster, where it seems like he's had that sort of move lined up, and then he's not got the move, and it just seems like it's sort of sent his head a little bit. I don't know, but I just think it's got to be the wingers or the strikers. One of those two has got to change. I'm happy with the defence. I think the defence is rock solid at the minute. I think the midfield is pretty stacked, so I can understand the rotation, but the wingers and striker situations dire at our club, and it's probably the first time it's been dire for a long time, really.
Yeah, but in terms of personnel, I don't know. Is it the system? I just think I just think it's the square. I just don't think Fleming works as a 9, and he's been getting a lot of stick. And he was poor today, was Fleming. I did see somebody earlier on say he holds the ball up well. Today he didn't. I mean, I'm not sure a lot of the stuff, like I said, was legal because I think the defence was all over him. But every time the ball went forward, it didn't stick to Fleming. It just came back. And I'm not criticising him because it's not his position. He needs to be in behind somebody like Foster or Hontondre who can hold it up and then bring him into play. That's what I'd do. But Mark Murgatroyd says, even with Foster available, Parker won't pair him and Fleming together. They've not been available at the same time yet. I'm not sure that's true yet, Mark. I mean, I guess we'll find out after the international break. I think that needs to be the forward line. Foster in the 9, Fleming in the 10, because I think Foster's main issue, as somebody said earlier, like he wasn't making the runs, because half the time they're on the halfway line because he's been going deep, trying to bring other people into the game. But when we get Fleming involved in the 10, that will be his job, and then Foster can concentrate on making the runs and stuff like that. Is that a massive glass of red wine, that, Connor? Or is it Vimto?
I need it. It's Pepsi Max. Pepsi Max.
Is it Pepsi Max? It looked like red wine, that, mate, to be fair.
Sam Allardyce-esque.
Yeah. I'll stick with you, though, Connor, because you have just mentioned Coley Oshaw. I do want to come up to him next. Like, what is going on with Coley Oshaw, man? It's quite obvious he's got bags and bags and bags of ability. Just to quickly break off, mate. I'm in bits, mate. I've actually bought a new chair. Like, I've actually bought a new chair to help with the back. Like, I can't stand up straight. Like, genuinely, I'm not even joking. I'm only not in pain when I'm sitting down. But yeah, thanks for that, Claret. I haven't mentioned it for a while. But yeah, getting back to Coley Oshaw, Lee Greenwood says Coley Oshaw has shown quite a lot of frustration. Like maybe his head isn't in the right place. That's obviously what Connor's just said. Certainly, no, he has the talent. Do you think that's what it is then, mate? Because as Lee says, and I completely agree with Lee, a lot of people are giving him shit. I've seen people saying he's just overrated and not good enough. Not for me. I think he is a quality player, but he's just not showing it at the minute. And people were crying out saying, oh, it's Parker's fault, because that seems to be like the easy thing to say these days because Parker was playing him on the right. The last 2 games he's played on the left and he's been even worse, if anything. So what's going on with Coley Oshaw, do you think?
I think he kind of knows that if we don't go up this season, it doesn't really affect his sort of career. So it's not like he needs to take the same sort of risks as he did last season where he was sort of fighting for a spot in the team. I think this season he knows he's like our main player, and he knows almost like if we don't get promoted, he'll quite easily find another club that'll pay like 30, 40 million.
Well, Bayern are apparently interested, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. Do you know, like when you're getting links like that, especially this early into the season, it's a sign of a. I don't hate digging players out, but we had a lot of mercenaries at the club last season, and I don't think personally got rid of all of them from what I've been sort of told anyway. But I think for me, it's like there's a few of them that are left over from that squad from last season that probably were trying for moves and didn't get them. And I think because he's a young lad and he's sort of, he wants to be at the highest level. And I don't think Parker's system really benefits him the way that companies are, where it's like, get forward as much as possible.
Yeah.
There is talent there. There's definitely talent there. And he's somebody that will go to the top. But I think he just doesn't seem fussed. It seems like if he doesn't get the ball, he sulks. But when he gets the ball, he runs into his man and then sulks that he didn't get past him. And he doesn't seem to have the right. It sounds so like Graham Souness-esque, but it's like fight mentality. It just seems like he loses the ball and he sort of doesn't always track back. Like there was an incident in the, I think it was the first half, or was it second, where he lost the ball, tried to win it back, and they still had the ball, and he didn't track his man, and they had a chance to sort of cut in, and it was a bit like, bloody hell, like you've got to follow your runners. It just doesn't seem like he's that fuss for defending, which could be a problem with Perez at left back. Do you know, like he just doesn't really work on that side.
Yeah, I did see someone earlier say that Perez was garbage. I mean, I think another one for that was he doesn't get much protection. I mean, I think garbage is harsh, if I'm honest with you. I think Perez gives us a different sort of like bit of balance because as a fullback he can get forward. Lee Greenwood says you can't get a move to buy him by being absolutely garbage. Well, obviously I know you're being sarcastic there, mate. After Vincent did, but he did. Andrew, I'll come to you on Luca next. Code Unknown, otherwise known as Mike. Says, do you guys think that really bad injury has affected Koleosho psychologically? He tore Forest, and can I just stop you there, Mike? That is one of my pet hates when people spell Forest with two R's. It's one R. Sorry, I'm not a grammar gremlin at all. I just pet hate that. He tore Forest and a few others last year pre-injury. He did, and that is a good point. To be fair, I don't think anybody's ever really taken into consideration. Do you think the injuries affected him psychologically, or do you think it's more of his head's been turned, or do you just think that the system maybe doesn't work for him?
I think maybe the last.
I just think he's got the talent. Like we can all see that he's got the talent. I think maybe his head's been turned a little bit, but I mean, what is he like? Is he 19 or something? Like he's only a young lad, and there were rumours of him going to Wolves for £40 million. Like my head would be turned at that. Never mind his, like he's obviously got talent. We all know he's got talent. I just think he needs to realise that he doesn't have to do it all himself. Like that's his issue. He's always trying to do it all himself, and he doesn't need to. And I think that's what's like we've all said. Oh, he's a left winger. He's better on the left. Put him on the left. We've seen him on the left for the last 2 games now, and he's been anonymous. Really, like he probably knows that his name is one of the first names on the team sheet because of how good he actually is when he wants to. Like when he wants to play. The thing is, at the minute, he's not playing, but he's still first name on team sheet because he's got that moment of talent. And is that not what Parker said in like his press conference this week or week before? Like that's what we're missing up front, those moments of magic, that bit of talent. And it's almost like he's pulled Luca out with that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's almost pulled Luca out with that because he has that raw talent.
Yeah.
And
I think that's. Go on, sorry.
No, I think that's just having the impact. Like 19-year-old kid, one of the first names on team sheet. He's being linked with Bayern Munich, and knows that he's probably undroppable. And then your manager's coming out and saying we need a bit of that talent to get us the goals. I'd be going to try and beat every man and score all goals myself.
Yeah. I mean, that weren't at you, Andrew. I'm doing that at Clarets. But for me, I think I kind of agree with that. I think I don't know if his head's been turned. It probably has. I do feel Mike makes a good point with this psychological injury thing, whatever. But I do think that's probably going to make him not less arse, but just not go for certain things that he would have done, not put himself in for tackles and things like that. For me, I do think there's an element of he knows he's not going to get dropped, and I think that's what worries me. I tweeted it today at like the 60th minute. He needs to be dropped for a bit, even if we're just playing like Sarmiento on the left and Anthony on the right, something like that, and then because hopefully Foster's back after the international break. I think that was what was originally touted, wasn't it? It was Foster that was going to be back after the international break, and hopefully then we can play Fleming in the 10, and then that frees Sarmiento, because obviously Sarmiento's been playing in the 10 in the last couple of weeks. So it's a weird one for me with Luca, because I love him, and I've said a million times he's my favourite player. But like I said, I think I probably need to revisit that if I'm going to be honest with you, because he's been awful for a bit. You look like you want to say something, Connor.
Yeah, I just think, the whole thing with Luca, I just think has left a bit of a bad taste, because he's like one of our best players comfortably. But the whole like unfollowing the club's Instagram and stuff when he didn't get that Wolves move, I think it's sort of maybe shown that he's not here to stick around. And I think that's maybe why I'm maybe not as kind as I was maybe last season about him. I just think he doesn't seem to have the work rate, and then he's doing stuff like that, which is childish. I know it's like one of those modern footballer things that they do for some reason, but it just says to me that I don't feel as attached to him now, and I do feel like if you're going to drop him, because there's no point keeping him in the team, and like it's just tough. I don't know. It's a hard decision, but I wouldn't be opposed to dropping him for a game or two just to not give him a reality check. It sounds like I'm being harsh, but
I agree. I think he needs dropping though.
Yeah.
He really reminds me of McNeil. Like, very similar situation of he was our star player. He was our most creative player, but he just weren't doing it. And we dropped him, didn't we? Like, Deitch dropped him for a couple of games. And when he came back, he was like on fire. And I feel like we need that. Like, he needs that situation of drop him, kick up the arse, and make him realise he's not the first name.
Yeah. Yeah, fan team says maybe Luca being dropped will show people just how key he actually is. Imagine how much of a lack of creativity there will be without him. To be fair, fan team, if Luca was playing well and is the Luca that we know he can be, I'd completely agree with that. But there's been no creativity from Luca, so that argument kind of falls flat on its face with that one. He is making terrible decisions, as you've though followed up and said that. But that's what I mean. Like he sometimes gets into positions, runs at his fullback, and you think, right, go on the outside now and whip it in. But he doesn't. For some reason, every time he comes inside and then loses it, sometimes he might even get past the fullback and you're thinking, right, release it. And he doesn't. He just runs into a dead end. Somebody on Twitter summed it up perfectly last week where he said he could run into a dead end on a motorway. And I know I used that analogy last week as well, but it's absolutely spot on, because sometimes you think, right, he's in a good position here, do something good, and then he just runs into a dead end. Ramsey back after the international break, says Harry. I don't think so, mate. I've not seen anything on that. Mike Trezor, maybe, but I don't think many people are going to want to see him play. No,
Can we stop with this Mike Trezor thing, please? Can we stop with this Mike Trezor thing?
To be fair, it's the
he
club that said they
one
expect
game
him.
for us.
It's the club. The club have said they expect him to play for us again. Whether they're just saving face or Mike's being a dick to them. Mike, who says, Harry.
But has anyone?
Sure.
Have we seen anything that makes us want him in this team, though? Like, seriously, have we
yes,
seen
the performances, the lack of creativity. Nothing from Mike himself, but just the lack of creativity on the pitch, I think.
I'd rather have Ross Wallace back.
Are you saying that because you saw him today on the pitch?
Yeah. He's the first name that comes to my head.
Every club picture, he looks like he's being held hostage and he's having to be in the photo.
It does, but it also makes me laugh that people also suddenly now like love all that sort of thing. Like he does. I think it's you, Andrew, that always tweets a picture of him like in his Bruges days and sort of like says like, he never smiles anyway. He don't smile in his Bruges pictures. I can't remember. It might not be you, mate. But is it not you?
It's not me.
Bring Keith Tracy back.
Fair
enough. Bring Keith Tracy back. Anthony isn't great either, says Sui. I think Anthony's the better of the two. And the thing with Anthony is, I think he doesn't get as much stick because we all have incredibly high hopes for Luca. We all know how good he can be. Some of us are just kind of expecting Anthony to be a run-of-the-mill championship defender, winger, and that's exactly what he has been so far. He's been okay. He's not been amazing, but he's been okay and done a job in some games. He's been the better winger out of the two over the course of the season, in my opinion. I can't remember who put it in the comments, so I can't bring it up on screen. I'm just going to ask you two a question that I saw in the comments earlier. Would you sell Luca Koleosho in January if it meant we could get Morgan Whittaker? I think that's his name, is it? from Plymouth Argyle. Connor, I'll start with you.
Yeah.
Would you actually?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Definitely.
Fair enough.
Just, I think, not in a. It sounds like I know it sounds really like knee jerk that I'm saying it, but I don't mean it in like a. I don't think I think Koleosho will go to a higher level than Whittaker, but right now we need someone to put the ball in the back of the net, and Whittaker's proven time and time again at this level that he can do it with Plymouth. So I feel like if you could sell Koleosho for 40 million and get Whittaker in, and then have that extra bit of money. Well, if Wolves are offering 40 million 2 months ago,
I think that ship sailed, mate. If I'm going to be brutal,
I can dream, Joe. But if say you sold him for 30 million, then you drop 10 million. You could probably bring in either Whittaker or, like people are saying, Teller. I think get either one of those.
I'd do it for Teller. I'd do it for just because it's Teller, and I've not loved the footballer as much as Nathan Teller. Nathan Teller's that ex that got away from me in it, and you're looking at her now doing like amazing things and stuff, and you're like, oh, why weren't I just a better person? That's what Nathan Teller is. But back to the question, Andrew, would you sell Luca Koleosho? Not for 40 million. I think 20 million is as good as we're going to get at the minute. And bring in Morgan Whittaker.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against it. I still think he's going to be crucial to our season this year, Koleosho. Like I do think he is going to be crucial, and he is going to be one of those players who, at some point, he will play for a top side. So I don't want to be knee jerk and be like, oh yeah, I'd sell him because he's had like a few bad games. But then, so I probably would, just because we need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net.
Fair enough.
But going off what everyone else is saying, just because you've mentioned it and I have to, I'd give my left leg to bring back Nathan Teller. Like
that can be arranged, mate. That can be 100%.
Arranged. So, like, you know, when Barnes got done for calling them lockdown road bastards and we were on about having a whip round, can we not do that for Teller? If we all chip in like 50 quid or something, we could buy Nathan Teller.
I don't have 50 quid to give. It's nearly Christmas.
For Nathan Teller. Come on. 20.
I'm not sure. Honestly, I'd love Teller. And I've seen other, fan pages and, fans with large followings tweeting about it a lot. And I'm not diving on it at all because I just think it's just never going to happen. Yes, I love Nathan. I'd love to have him back. But it's not going to happen. There's no chance. I'm not getting my hopes up to then just be shot down. But yeah, going back to the original question, would you get rid of Luca Koleosho for Morgan Whittaker? I'm in a firm no. Like maybe it's me still being blinded by the Luca from last season and the Luca that I know he can be, rather than Luca than what he is at the minute. But for me, I do want Morgan Whittaker, yes, but just buy him, and bring him in, and then have a bit more depth on the wings. So I do think we've gone from having too many wingers to now having not enough. So yeah. If Odegaard was sold for 30, we could do the same for Koleosho. I'm not sure about that, mate. I think Odegaard's streets ahead and potentially could have a much better career. David Gold says, my $100 wager with Andrew to break our points record looks secure. What's all this about, Andrew? That's obviously, hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it? But that looks like a silly bet from you, mate.
I still think we'll be up there. I do still think we'll be up there. We're not far off where we were when we started playing.
We're not going to win 10 in a row from here, though, are we? That's what we did on the company season. We won 10 in a row from here now.
At that time, though, I wouldn't have said we would at that time, though. So,
yeah, fair enough. I think you're gonna have to sort out some sort of. You're gonna have to find out David's PayPal, mate, because there's no way you're winning that bet. Corden Nolan says 125 people watching, but only 9 likes on YouTube. Yeah, fair enough. Thank you, mate. I'm not normally one to beg for likes and subscribes and stuff like that. That's probably why I don't have that many. But yeah. Feel free to like it on YouTube if you want to. If you don't want to, then don't know. So he says, this mouse is dreadful. I'm just trying to get the comment up. 10 0-0s in a row, maybe. Yeah, I think that's more likely. Maybe some penalties, some last minute penalties that can help us. Speaking of penalties, obviously we had a penalty late in the game today, and it came from this incident. Is it working? Can I? There we go. Obviously, I can't press play. I cannot press play, rewind it, and show it you all. Obviously, I wish I could, but if I did that, the stream would get stricken off pretty much instantly, demonetized, deleted, and everything. So none of you will be able to watch anything. Whether you've all seen it back or not, I'm not sure. At the time, this is what I'm asking Claret Blue X today. Get your comments in below. Do you think it was a penalty? Yes or no? I've watched it back, obviously, on this tab now. Oh, hold on. I've watched it back now on this tab now. Phil, I've already accidentally put Phil's comment up. He says, never a penalty in a million years. Give your reasons, please, mate. His arm's in an unnatural position for me, and I do feel like I'm one of them that doesn't stick my claret tinted glasses on and just says penalty because it's for us. I appealed at the time in hope rather than expectation. It definitely is his hand, and his hand is 100% in an unnatural position. It just depends on why his hand is in an unnatural position. Is he pushed? I think there might be an issue there. He might be pushed. For me, I'm going to go with yes, because I think, like I said, his arm's in an unnatural position. Obviously, I'd like to show you the build up to it and show you if there's a push. I'm not sure if it's a push or more of a coming together. But that's one of them in the Premier League that you see given with VAR. So I feel like it's got to be one of them incidents that's given throughout the leagues, in my opinion. But Connor, I'll come to you. Screen order again, please, mate. Do you think it's a penalty?
Yeah, definitely. I think if that doesn't get given against us, we'd all be absolutely fuming. So it's so, like, I get why I like the push side of things. That's debatable, but even then, his hand is in such an unnatural position. Like, it's a penalty every day. Though I'd be interested to know how people think it's like it couldn't have been given, because I think if that's given against us, you can't really argue against it. Didn't we have one similar last season? We had one. I'm trying to think if it was who it was against, but we had one similar where it was like his hand's in an unnatural position. It seems really harsh. I don't know if it was given actually. Was it? I'm trying to think what game that was. But
I've blanked last season out of my memory, mate, so I can't remember.
Yeah, but I do think it's harsh, but it's Stonewall at the same time. So I can't really say anything other than it was definitely a penalty.
Yep, fair enough. Like I said, Phil Tricks Wilcock. Mr. Facebook user says never penalty in a million years. He's not backed that up yet, mate. Let me know your thoughts on why I don't think it is. Who's that stud? Bottom right video, 1 minute one. That's me, mate. Thank you for that, mate. That's me. Yeah, handsome chap there. Facebook user who is Chris Briggs says yes, it's a penalty. Jack Etherington says clear handball. Facebook user who is David Ashlet says Stonewall pen from where I was sat, hand in the air above his head, ball hit it. Harry says if that was against us, we'd be fuming. Simon Fisher says, I'm at the other end of the ground, and shout, why is his hand up there? It's unlucky from their point of view, but it hits his hand, and by the rules, that's a penalty. New Name says, I didn't think it was when I watched it back, but I don't give a poo. I'll take it anyway. Claret Owl says, I've watched it 3 times and can't see it. This happens pretty much every match. That said, we were good value. We were good value for the win. Fair enough. David Gold says not a pen, but some you win, some you lose. No VAR to dispute it. YouTube user says some rivs give a penalty for that, some don't. JK says swings and roundabouts. Well, you should have had a goal last game that wasn't given. Exactly that. And a Swansea fan did message me actually, and I'll read out what he said in a minute in terms of the penalty. But he did say, I'm sure Burnley fans will just say that they should have had a goal in midweek. And yes, we can say that, but obviously that's Swansea. That's not going to help Swansea. Arthur Bushby says Burnley the most boring team I've ever seen. Cheers, mate. Thanks for watching. Simon Fisher, Barnes at Spurs. I think that's going back a bit too long, to be fair. Scott O'Sullivan says disallowed goal at West Brom evens itself out. Mike says it was a pen. VAR would have given it. Well, not for us, but clearly against us. Loads of comments coming in. Claret Owl says Sander Berg had a goal disallowed for less. Yeah, obviously somebody's misspelt Forest again. Andy Bennett, Sander Berg versus Forest, 2 R's, 1 R, please, mate. Facebook user who is Lee Dane, 2 Stonewall penalties today, 1 not given. What's the other one, mate? I don't remember this. Are you on about the Maxime Esteve tangle of legs? I think that was just outside the box of where I saw it, if that's the one you're on about, mate. And I didn't think it was a penalty. Andrew, not asked you yet, mate. Your thoughts? Do you think it was a penalty, yes or no?
I think it's harsh, but I don't understand why his arm's so high up. Like, I don't understand why his arm's in the air. So it is harsh, but at the same time, even if he's pushed, like, you don't put your arm up there. Like, so it's harsh, but by the rules, it is a pen. But I think that Maxime Esteve, I thought that was a foul. From where I was, I couldn't tell if it was in the box or not, but I did think it was a foul. So again, I think it evens itself out. I don't want to go back and say, oh yeah, we should have had a goal against West Brom, because we should have had a goal against West Brom. But like you say, that doesn't matter in today's game. But I do think Esteves was a foul, and if the referee was going to give it, he'd have given it as a penalty. So yeah, it's one of them. It's harsh, but your hand's in an unnatural position. It's hit your hand. It's a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, I've just quickly scrubbed through the highlights that the club have put up. It's not a big highlights package because, to be fair, why would it be? But the Maxime Esteve incident isn't on there, so I can't bring it in and
pushes
and
him.
discuss it.
He grabs him just outside the box originally, and then as Steve goes down, he puts a second hand on him to sort of push him over. So it's like, when I was watching it at home, they were saying it probably would have either been given as a free kick, but it was quite like Steve was already on the way down as he's put the hand on him. So it would have been like either a really soft penalty or a free kick just on the edge of the box. So he did go down. It had probably a foul at edge of box, really, because that's where the foul starts, really. But I wouldn't say it was like a guaranteed penalty either way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've not had a chance to see it back, and obviously I was on. To be fair, I did shout for that. Again, in hope rather than expectation. But a Facebook user who is Lee Dane says, yep, Esteve, not seeing it back, was a big shout out to Penn from the Jimmy Mack upper. Clara Al says Steve was immense today. Where is Steve not immense, to be fair? Jack Everton says, disagree, the Esteve challenge is too soft. But Sam Wright says, Esteve was definitely a pen for me. Watch it on TV. I think if it's... when I saw it at the time, I shouted for it, because it starts outside the box and then continues into the box. So I feel if it is going to get given, it's probably a free kick anyway. Claret Al says Facebook user is spot on. He's being a bit cheeky tonight, is Claret Al. I'll have to have a word with him if I ever meet him. New
He's
name
had a
says,
couple of shandies celebrating, hasn't he?
What's that, mate? He's had a couple of shandies, yeah, probably. New name says, I just watched it back and I changed my mind. Defo Pen. Well, fair enough, mate. Obviously, international break now, guys. But after the international break, I'll just quickly get to the fixtures up on screen. But if I am correct, before I get them up on my screen, why is it all the way over there? We have next Bristol City, I think it is. And then after that, it's Coventry on Tuesday night. And then Stoke. Why is this taking so long? There we go. So Bristol City 12:30, then Coventry at home, then Stoke away, then a tough one at home against Middlesbrough. 5 out of the next 6 games are all on Sky. I can't see too many people tuning into them. So basically, what I'm going to ask you guys now is where do you think we are in terms of... Why am I called Facebook user tonight, says Lee Dane. Yes, and a Facebook user then goes on to say, evening boys, which is Kieran Phillips. As I said at the start of the stream, and I won't say it again for all you latecomers, for some reason Facebook users are just coming up as Facebook user, whereas YouTubers are coming up as YouTubes. John Robertson says, evening all, just signed one excellent forward in Jan, sell no one, cheers to everyone who's done the Mile for Lyle this last year, over and out. Yes, John was the creator of Mile for Lyle, but he has retired it today because it has officially been 1 year. Well, thank you for that, John. I did a couple of Mile for Lyles. I basically just took the dog out like I do every single day and went, oh, Mile for Lyle. And then got a bacon butty halfway around it, which kind of cancelled out the walk, and then put bacon and egg butty for Lyle, so it didn't really work. Some comments coming in on Facebook. I'll just read them out off the other screen. Kieran Phillips says, some Burnley fans need to give their head a effing wobble. Always got away with words as Kieran. Gents, where is the hype for my boy Manuel Benson to come back? Shout out to all the Facebook users in the chat. I think it's going to be January now, is Benson, unfortunately. I'm not sure what he actually did. I can't remember. But anyway, let's get back to the debate, because I was just going to quickly ask the lads a couple of questions. Obviously, I've just read out some of the fixtures. Where do you think we are now in terms of quality? Like, obviously, a lot of us at the start of the year was like, well, I personally was, not a lot of us, before all the miserable sods in the stream go, well, actually, I think you'll find I said we'll finish 7th. Suey and Ginger Ali and Mike, I'm looking at you. I'm ignoring that comment, John, because I've completely forgot about that, and I'm hoping everyone else has. But But where do you think we are in terms of quality now? Because at the start of the season, when I saw our squad before we sold everybody, I was like, we have a very good chance to win the league. I looked at our squad, I looked at Leeds' squad, and I genuinely thought ours was just better. Then we sold a lot of players, as did Leeds, but I think Leeds have added some better quality than us, to be fair. So in terms of quality, I still think we're top 4, top 3 if you discount Sunderland. I still think Sunderland will fall away. I don't look at Middlesbrough and think they've got a better squad than us. I don't look at, all the other teams who are in and around the playoffs like Millwall and think they've got a better squad than us. Sorry for swearing, but Blackburn, they're obviously in and around the playoffs at the minute. I don't think they've got a better squad than us at all. I think it's miles worse than ours. But I think it's fair to say it's not as good as we all thought it were. And I'm constantly seeing some people in the chat and on the comments and on Twitter saying that Burnley are a mid-table team. That is absolutely scandalous. Not for me. I think we're easily top 6. Whether we're finishing the top 6 is a different debate. Obviously, we need to start scoring goals. But Connor, I'll come to you first. Where do you think we are in terms of quality? And from what you've seen so far, where do you think we'll be finishing?
I think we're top 6 comfortably. I think, especially with our defence, the defence is the thing that's going to, I think, get us through a lot of this sort of patchy sort of period that we're in where we can't seem to score. At least if we're not conceding, then we're not losing. So that's the way to look at it, I think. But yeah, I think Middlesbrough probably have the advantage of having like a load of goal scorers. I think they've scored quite a few this season. So I'm worried for Middlesbrough in the sense that they've got quite a bit of a strike force going on. I can't think who the lad is up top for them, but he seems to be bagging every other week.
That Latte Lath, is it?
Yeah,
Latte Lath.
2 every other week. It's unbelievable. Yeah. But I think for us, if we had a couple of, I think if we'd have signed Whittaker or someone like that who put the ball back at net, I think we'd be comfortably scoring goals and we wouldn't be having this sort of crisis that we're in at the minute, which you call it a crisis, but having only conceded 6 goals all season is not really that much of a crisis, is it? So I think it's definitely top 6. Defence, we're probably more basing that off the defence than anything, that the defence is carrying us through games. But it's the attacking side of it, I think, where people are having the issue with, and the wingers that aren't really creating anything. So I think it's definitely top 6, though, compared to the rest of the Championship, comfortably.
Yeah, don't disagree. I still think Sunderland fade, and every time I say this, a Sunderland fan somehow finds it, even though obviously I never tweet SAFC or anything, and gives me a bit of grief. But I still think Sunderland fade. Whether they fade so far that we finish above them, I'm not so sure. I think Sunderland will finish in the playoffs. And from what I've seen so far, I think Sheffield United are the best team for playing the best way at the minute. If it wasn't for their points deduction, they would be top of the league. Fingers crossed, there's another points deduction coming for them, because I think that's probably the only way we finish above them at the minute. I think Leeds are a similar position to us. They have and this is the first time we're going to say something negative about Parker, so some people might enjoy this, some people might not. I feel like Leeds have a manager that's kind of holding them back, and I feel like at the minute, from what I've seen so far, we might be the same. I don't necessarily pin it all on Parker. As I've said, I think the players need to take some blame, but I think Leeds are in a similar position. But yeah, I just can't see how we don't finish in the top 6. And I still think, some people will say that we're a mid-table team, which again I think is scandalous. But for me, I think we're finishing the top 6 and do it quite comfortably. Sui says, I think we are an average top 3 squad with a quality striker, maybe higher, but worry about this team if we get promoted, distinctly average. I mean, I do as well, and I do agree with that. But for me, it's always a case of let's get there first and worry about that second if we get promoted. And at the minute, we need to start turning some of these nils into open play goals. All right, we got away with it today, but we won't always. Facebook user who has been commenting a lot today says, I do think the board are probably waiting for Jan and will be looking at recruitment with a lot of focus and scrutiny, but I think we're going to lose more lads from last year before we add potentially, mate. Claret Blue 1882 says, we'll finish around 4th, not going to Wembley though. Facebook user says, I don't think the squad talent is a problem. I have been highly behind Parker, but today had me question him. Paul Walker says, God, I miss Benson. John Corbett believes we are the best squad in the league, but with a top 10 manager. Andy Benny says, at least Sky will leave us alone after we bore all the viewers to death. Maybe, mate. New Name says, if it's a winger, midfielder or striker, we just need a goal scorer, then we're solid. I agree. I think January is going to be massive, and I appreciate that A lot of people have alluded to that already. Thank you, Andrew. I've just seen your private chat. Excuse me. That made me laugh. But I do think we need to bring in some attacking quality, to be honest with you. Samurai says, if we sign a goal scorer, we will be there. Let's not forget, everybody. I know some people don't like me saying it, but Lyle Foster is still to come back into this side. As soon as I say that, my first comment from a South African on Facebook, it's apologies, mate, if you're still watching, and I'm going to butcher your name. He says, Thabelo Matox, I think if Lyle comes back, everything will be fine. Obviously, he thinks that's because he's South African. I think we'll be better. I think Lyle in the 9, Fleming in the 10, maybe a new winger, and a couple of new wingers, and we might get there. The way we are going, we'll be lucky to finish in the playoffs, says Lee. I just don't see how. I'm not saying we're good. I just look at everybody else. I just don't see 6 teams, finishing above us. I really don't. John says Burnley conceded 1 goal in September, 1 goal in October, and 1 goal in November so far. Some going, yeah, as we've said, obviously the defence isn't the issue. David Asher says, can't wait to be stuck at Wembley on a bank holiday Monday after a 0-0 draw in pens. I tell you what, even if we do get to Wembley, you're all right there, mate. It's going to be a 0-0, isn't it? New name though says Lyle Foster can't score for 50 grand a week. I think that's harsh on Lyle. I think in this league, if he has the right service and he has somebody playing behind him, as I've said, that does the donkey work for him, he can score goals. Andrew, sorry, we'll come to you next. What even was the question? I've started now. Can't remember the question that I was asking everybody. That's it, mate. Where do you, after you've seen from what you've seen so far, where do you think we are in terms of quality, and where do you think we've finished from what we've seen so far?
I think my prediction at the start of the season was to finish 3rd, and I still think we'll finish 3rd. Like, there are teams. Sunderland, I agree with you. I think Sunderland will drop off a little bit, but I think it's a little bit not too late, but I think we're going to struggle to catch them. I think, like you say, Sheffield United are the best team at the minute in the league. But there's always... Every team that's decent puts a good run together of like decent results, and we have, but we haven't. Like, we have got decent results, but they're not decent in our eyes. Like, we've still yet to have that good run. So yeah, I do still think we'll finish 3rd. I mean, we've still got. I don't want to keep going back to these players that are injured because they're injured. They're not going to affect anything right now, but we've still got Ramsey. We've still got Redmond, who they're both going to be good enough in this league. Still got Foster to come back, who he'll get a couple of goals. Still got Benson to come back. Still got Mike Tressor to come in, even though he will never pull a Burnley shirt on again. But we've got these players to come back. We've still got January, where I'm 100% certain we're going to go for at least another striker. We'll be all right. We'll still get there.
Yep, fair enough. A lot of negativity from Foster in there because I praised him. But Sam Wright says Foster is not one, looks good in the Prem, but struggles in this league. Clearly doesn't like the physical game. Probably fine there, Sam. To be probably right there. To be honest with you. Like I said, do I think Foster has been good enough so far in the Burnley shirt? No. Do I think that we should all be criticising him and slagging him off? I mean, everyone's allowed their opinions. I just think let's just give him a chance with Fleming in the 10. Let's just give him that chance first. And then if he has the chance and he's still not good enough, then maybe it is time to call the Lyle Foster experiment over and done. Anyway, a couple more questions before we wrap it up, because I start working half an hour and I know Chris needs to get going pretty much soon. Sarmiento in the 10. JK says, you don't rate Jeremy Sarmiento today? I thought it was class and busted a gut all game. I agree. I've not said anything different, mate. I do feel he was good. I just feel like Fleming is an out-and-out number 10. And Fleming will be better in that number 10. For now, we're doing square pegs in round holes. Sarmiento's more of a winger. And Fleming's more of a striker. More of a 10. But because Foster's injured and Parker obviously doesn't rate Hont Andre or Jay enough to play them as a striker, which in my opinion is balmy, then we're just playing Sarmiento as a 10 at the minute. I think he was good today. I thought he played very, very well. Again, I'm not keen to drop Sarmiento. Where have you got this idea from, mate? Where have you got this? I even said earlier in the stream, Sarmiento on the left wing, Anthony on the right wing, Fleming in the 10, Lyle in the 9. I don't know where you've got this idea from, mate. I've never said that at any point. I do feel like he played well today. I thought he was decent. I thought he's good in that 10. I thought he played well in that 10 against West Brom as well. I think for now, while Parker, for some reason, hates playing a striker as a striker, Sarmiento is that 10. But you've got to be playing Fleming in the 10 because he's an actual number 10, in my opinion, when Lyle is back. Chris, I'll come to you. Your thoughts? Sorry, not Chris. Connor, I'll come to you. Your thoughts on Sarmiento's performance today, mate?
He needs to drop him straight away. Not good enough. Didn't score. Didn't assist.
Jay's got to be fuming with you, mate.
No, I thought he was all right. I quite like him as a player. I think he's really good. He shows a bit of attacking talent, so you can't really fault him. I thought he was quite good today. I just think, like you say, it's just end product, which I think half the team's struggling with at the minute.
Yeah, don't disagree with that. Andrew, your comments, please, mate, on Sarmiento and his performance today.
I know we'll get onto it, but he honestly my man at match. Like, I loved everything about him. I thought he was good going forward. I thought he was doing what Koleosho tries to do, where he's trying to get past people, but he was actually doing it. He was tracking back. I was really impressed with him today. I think I've been impressed with him when he's been coming on, but today was his best performance in a Burnley shirt.
Yeah, fair enough. Jay says, I honestly don't think Fleming is what everyone thinks he is. I think that's harsh on Fleming. I thought he was poor today, though. I agree today, but I've already alluded to it earlier in the stream. Obviously, you must not have been watching at that point, mate. He's not playing into preferred. He's not a number 9 at all, and this is why he looks so poor. Let's wait till we criticise players when we see him in their best position. He's a 10. Let's play him in the 10 behind a striker, and then if he's still not good enough, then he's not good enough for me. He's not a striker. He's not a 9, and that's why he's not looking like a good player at the minute because he's playing out of position. Right, Andrew, you've already answered the question, so I'll come to you first. Let's do man of the match shouts. Everybody, get your comments in. Let me know your man of the match in the comments. I will read out all the ones that I can when I can. But Andrew, let me know your man of the. Well, tell me that Sarmiento is your man of the match, please, and give me your reasons why.
I'm going to go with Steve because no, Sarmiento. I thought he was brilliant. I thought, like I say, I thought today was his best performance in a Burnley shirt. He got past his man nearly every time. I definitely. Sorry, shut up.
I was going to say that. By the way, I was going to say that's my one of the match.
Steve and CJ played well as well.
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah,
everyone, for those listening on the podcast,
CJ,
by the way, who can't see the comments on the screen, and Andrew's laughing because I put a comment on screen from Sui who says "man of the match" Facebook user. I really need to get that sorted, don't I? Because I'm just getting loads of stick for this. StreamYard, thank you. You've sold me up a river with this Facebook user nonsense today. Connor, I'll come to you next, please, mate. Chris, Connor, whatever your name is. No, I'm messing. I'll come to you next, please, mate. Your man of the match, please.
It's a toss-up for me between Steve and Egan Riley. I thought Egan Riley was unreal again today, and I'm glad he's getting his credit because he more than deserves it. I think I'm going to give it to CJ because I think he probably doesn't get it often as Steve, and I think that ball he did a crossfield ball to Koleosho that was absolutely top tier. So I'm going to give it to CJ for this game. I thought he was class.
Fair enough. Clara Al says, hope you sort your back, Joe. Need the normal camera angle back. I'll be honest with you, I'm feeling this. I've not changed the camera angle because of the back. I've changed the chair because of my back. The camera angle is because I bought a new screen and it's just in the middle of the screen. I mean, the screen's big enough for me to put it over there again if that's what you want. But I think you're the only person calling for that. Let me know what you think. Old camera angle or new camera angle. I like this one, me personally. I think it gives more of a YouTuber feel. Anyway, enough about that nonsense. JK, who was going on about Sarmiento all stream, says his man of the match is Steve. Work that one out. But to be fair, Jay, I'm going to go with Steve. I thought it was absolutely fantastic today. I mean, what more can you say about Maxime Esteve, man? He's class. I stand by the fact that I think he's the best defender in the league. I think he's awesome. It's every single week. You can hang your hat on that, man. He is the best player in this team at the minute, which I think tells a story as well about how poor we are going forward and how good we are at the back. But yeah, Maxime Esteve for me, man of the match, absolutely brilliant. Sarmiento says Claret and Blue 1882. Rick Williams says Esteve Imperious. Like that word, mate. John Robertson says rinse and repeat. Esteve. Steve, how the hell not? Says new name. Simon Fisher says Sarmiento. Facebook user, who is Mark Lancaster, says Sarmiento was the best player on the pitch. He's the only one who plays with any intensity and energy. Another Facebook user, though, says Steve, and I don't know who that is because that comment's gone missing. So apologies, Facebook user. Claret Owl says, I've already put that one up. Ignore that one. Facebook user says, me, I'm the man of the match. I stayed for the 490. Again, I can't see that one. I don't know why. Steve says Claret Owl. CJ for me says it's Jack. JTS Jack. Claret Owl says Facebook user comment of the day. CJ or Sarmiento, both very creative today. Kieran Phillips on Facebook says Egan Riley, class again. God knows why our company didn't play him. Probably not. I don't think he'd have been good enough in the Prem, if I'm honest with you, mate. But he's got to be a brilliant player. He's CJ already is a brilliant player. 3 points huge, keeps us up there. Trafford, another clean sheet. Yep, says Simon Woodhouse. Not really tested too much, to be fair. They had a couple of chances. But both went clear. Steve's goal line clearance. Was that Steve who did that? I remember it when it happened at the time. But yeah, fantastic. Rodriguez, nerves of steel, says Scott O'Sullivan. And Facebook user needs banning, obviously trolling. Lol, yeah, there's these Facebook users, mate. But yeah, Ekdal in the background and Bayer further down the line. Pace will take the 40 mil offer from Esteve when it comes in. I don't think Esteve leaves in January, mate. But he's not going to be at Burnley for long, is he? Let's be honest. Anyway, as I've said before, my back's in bits. I've sat down for too long. But obviously, we need to get going. I know Connor needs to get going as well. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Big shout out to Connor for coming on. A big shout out to Andrew for coming on. Really do appreciate it, especially today. Obviously, the game finished at 10 to 5, 5 to 5. And an hour and a half later, I'm asking these lads to sit here for an hour. So I really do appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everybody for the comments. I appreciate everybody for watching. If you've joined the stream late, like I know a few of you have, then we will obviously, once I press end stream, it stays on Facebook and on YouTube for you to watch back at your leisure. And I will, of course, be putting it out as a podcast, which will be there in the next hour or two, and will be there for your morning commute in, the morning, whatever it is you're doing. If you're going to school, college, university, work, whatever, or you just take your dog for a walk, you can listen to us rant about a win. I'm used to being negative, rant about a win. Obviously, happy about the win. But yeah, obviously, massive 3 points to Burnley. Just quickly get the league table up because I've not actually looked at it yet for you all. And that leaves us nicely poised on 27 points in fourth, 2 points behind Leeds and 4 points behind Sheffield United in second, and a couple of points ahead of West Brom and Watford in fifth and sixth. And more importantly, 5 points above Blackburn, who are languishing all the way down in ninth. But as we know for Blackburn, that's oxygen territory for them. Thanks, boys, says Rick Williams. Great stream, says Sui. I'll come yours for a back massage, mate. Claret Owl says, great show as always, guys. And Lee Green was so good on that man of the match, but he says Steve. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. I will be, obviously, international break now, so I'll try and think of some content ideas over the next 2 weeks. But if not, and I decide to have a week off like I did last time, I'll see you for the pre-game show before Bristol City. But like I said, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. And we will see you next time.